Tropical depression Florita developing near Luzon. Here's a look at our newest tropical cyclone in the western Pacific, Tropical Depression Florita, named by Pagasa. The Japanese Meteorological Agency haven't given an international name for it yet. Currently it's 16.6 north, 125.6 degrees east. And currently it has wind of 35 miles per hour and a pressure of 999 millibars, moving west-northwest at 11 miles per hour as of 10 p.m. Philippine time this August 21st. Likely to reach tropical storm status fairly soon and then intensify further as it approaches Luzon and then move out over the South China Sea is what we expect. Here it is right now displayed on the map and its position relative to the Philippine Islands. It's closing in terms of its distance fairly slowly at first, but it will probably speed up a little bit later on. Signal 1 warnings are in effect for southern Cagayan, coastal Isabela and far northern Aurora provinces. It is 343 kilometers from Hainan, 381 from Cagayan, 427 from Tuguegarao, 535 from Baguio and 544 from the capital Manila. The system is expected to continue northwest-northwestwards and then possibly a little bit further northwestwards. We expect it will cross the northernmost part of Luzon or possibly over the Cagayan group of islands. And these are the primary hazards for flash flooding. We're expecting extremely high rain rates in certain areas along the mountains and coastal areas of northern Luzon, where the strongest convection currently is on the southern side of the storm. Parts of central Luzon could receive in excess of 1,000 millimeters of rainfall, leading to dangerous flash flooding and landslides. We'll cover that on the models shortly. So here's the forecast expectation with the wind field in the green quadrants. There it is starting to develop, and then by the time we go through the week you can see the general track taking it through the northernmost part of Luzon and then in the South China Sea, and then a landfall in eastern China there. Just to the east of Hong Kong is what we're currently expecting, although the track forecast has a very large amount of uncertainty and we can't rule out the storm passing east of Taiwan or to the south of Hong Kong moving westwards. There's a graphical depiction of the warnings right now and the wind speed estimates. 35 miles per hour pretty much agreed on between Pagasa and JMA. AMSU down there at 25 miles per hour, but that is just one of the tools, and the agencies are quite a bit higher. And here is the cone from Pagasa showing the forecast track, what they think will happen. A little bit of a southwestward turn actually at first, and then towards the northwest and a tropical storm. So they're not expecting typhoon status from this, and I think that's a sensible forecast from Pagasa. Here is the GFS model, which does forecast a typhoon on 2 occasions, as you can see. First of all just before striking the Philippines, and then afterwards as a much stronger storm moving through and looks like striking very close to Hong Kong before moving inland and dying out over China. GFS certainly is one of the stronger model runs at the moment with this storm's depiction, and a very large wind field looking at those green areas, and it looks like it might be expecting a strong category 1 or maybe even category 2 before striking the coast of China. So that's not out of the realms of possibility, although other models have it weaker. The CMC notably does have it rather strong as well, but moves much further towards the north to the east of Taiwan. Now here's the water vapor simulations. You saw those yellow areas there depicting very high amounts of convection and therefore probably rain rate. Just watch it again there, and you can see how a lot of those darker colours are displaced to the southern side of the centre, particularly around the Philippines, and then it sort of gets a little bit more symmetrical as it approaches China. So looking very decent on that particular model run. Let's see if we can take a look at the rainfall estimates. Here we go then. The red areas there depicting 10 inches of rainfall, that's 250 millimeters, and then you get some pink areas, that's 15 inches, which is around is it 400 millimeters, something like that. And then you can see some extremely high amounts of rain just parked off the western coast of northern Luzon there, and you can see in some areas in that spot there 35 inches, which is a staggering amount of rain. That should be something near 1500 millimeters. Even if that doesn't occur, there's still very high amounts of over 15 inches expected along the western coast of Luzon. So that's something to watch out for very closely indeed. Sea surface temperatures are pretty decent here. You can see those temperatures looking all right, around 29 degrees Celsius, that's 84 Fahrenheit, and some 85s there as well, and maybe even an 86, that's 30 degrees Celsius, so certainly decent sea surface temperatures all the way through. Just a side note as well, notice how hot the temperatures are over there in China as well. Very hot conditions have been occurring there in the past few weeks actually now. So warm sea surface temperatures is the main point. Here's a look at the satellite imagery of this system right now, and it's quite clearly characterized by an enormous amount of convection on the southwestern side, but a big gap on the northeastern side, which I believe is being caused by wind shear at the moment, although possibly dry air intrusion as well, because it's a very quiet environment to its northeast. But you can see that this trend is probably going to continue for quite a while, with the southern side being much more prominent than the northern side, and that's reflected in the forecast. That is pretty much bad news though for the Philippines. Whilst you can see there it's going to move towards the north of Luzon, so lots of areas south of there are going to get the highest amounts of precipitation, the rain rates, and the stronger winds as well along the coast. So there's the satellite imagery. Circulation appears to be quite well established, although it is potentially partly exposed. More imagery here, a close-up on the rapid scan showing where we believe the center is right now, just west of that line. It's quite hard to describe, but underneath all of that convection there you might be able to see it. Here's some infrared imagery, some enhanced imagery that is, on the RAM enhancement, and you can see once again its progress, some of the red zones already reaching the eastern coast of the Philippines. Whether it manages to intensify substantially or not in the time that it has before striking northern Luzon remains to be seen, although I wouldn't be too fooled by thinking the center is further east than it is. It's really towards the eastern side of all of that convection that's sort of being torn away by wind shear at the moment. And here's another view on the visible imagery as we saw earlier today. Obviously it's nighttime there now. You can quite clearly see spiraling out that low-level cloud, little bits and bobs on the northern side, and obviously the convection on the southern side of the storm's influence. It certainly should get its act together pretty well in the next couple of days. It's just a big question regarding what the models are saying. There's a big spread between whether it will make landfall as a weak tropical storm, or in the case of the GFS, which might be a bit extreme, bordering on typhoon status by the time it gets there. But we'll be here with regular updates to let you know exactly what happens with this cyclone.